Meet Nick Paine, an archaeologist with an appetite for culinary history. He's left the urban jungle of LA behind to cruise the mystical bayous of Louisiana. His goal? To uncover how Southern cooking got its kick. Then try to keep up with Vince Vance. He's been barnstorming the road for 20 years, all in the name of rock and roll. And he's a hard act to follow. Beginning now on American Journey.
My name is Nick Paine. Basically, I call myself a culinary archaeologist. And I am preparing to go to a small, quick expedition, exploratory as it were, to the bayous of Louisiana. So I'm going there to better understand their food and their people. Basically, a culinary archaeologist uses visual anthropology via the camera to document recipes and things related to food. The name of the show is Nick Paine's Exotic Kitchen, and I filmed already 16 episodes, 11 of which are in the Amazon. The other ones are Greece, Mexico, and Japan. My show started out on public access, and I can't tell you how many messages I've gotten from people who said, I was just flipping through and I saw this guy popping a worm in his mouth or holding this piranha with blood, you know, and that's how people have caught on to it. This is my first visit here to Louisiana. I've always wanted to come here because of the interesting mix of the Cajun people and the Indians and supposedly the black slaves and then later the Spanish. Every day I pick up the newspapers in little towns and I'll read in the paper so-and-so died at 96 and 102, and I mean the stories that these people have to tell and the recipes that they have in their minds from the way it used to be here are gone forever. So the main purpose, I guess, is to try to film as many people as possible before they disappear. Houma is probably best known for its Black Bayou. There's many mysteries and many things about that particular region that I've read about, and I've always wanted to come here and visit it. Welcome to another edition of The Exotic Kitchen. I'm your host, Nick Paine, and today's expedition brings us to the Black Bayous of Louisiana. We're going to meet a lot of very special people. They are called Cajuns. Tell me exactly what a Cajun is.
Cajun are the people that came from Nova Scotia. My people came from Port Royal, Nova Scotia in 1765 to settle this area. They were exiled by the British, the English. And they came and settled in here. And I'm proud to be a Cajun. At one time, it was not such a nice thing to be a Cajun, you know. But now, everybody loves the Cajuns, our food, especially our food. You might know about that. Our Cajun food. Everybody comes to get the Cajun food.
It's pretty rough and rugged and still a bit dangerous here in the bayou.
It is, and it's vast. It's vast. It's very large. You can get in here and never get out sometimes. It's a very vast area of swamp. And in fact, it's one of the largest natural swamps. It is the largest natural swamp in the United States, for sure. Call him, Gator call him. Ah, big boy. Gator Bait wants to round up those alligators. He's basically a roundup dog. Hot, jump here, hot. Make a good alligator sauce piquant with that. Hot, jump here, hot. Hot. Very graceful. What do you think, Jean-Pierre?
In every natural environment,
Most of the predators are usually eaten by the people in the region, ones that taste good anyway. What animals are food here in the bayou?
Well, the alligator makes food, of course, and the different birds. We have a lot of ducks, you know. We have what we call the poodoo, which is the coot, and the gallinule, different birds of that nature that you're still allowed to hunt. White-tailed deer are in here. We have the raccoon, and of course, some people eat the possum. The Cajun, it was never a big dish for the Cajun people, the possum. Now, when I was younger, I put out our crawfish nets. Your better tasting crawfish, according to the Cajuns, come from the swamp.
With people like Black Guidry, he gives me a road map of the Cajun culture and where to go look when I come back again. I learned that they ate the cranes and the mud hens, and the one thing he told me about was the gray heron. They would shake the tree and get the babies and cook the babies up, because obviously the babies, the bones are not developed and they're soft and they can be chopped up and cooked. So those are all things they learned from the Indians.
I'm a Cajun man. I come from South Louisiana. I like to drink my Dixie beer straight from the can. I like the Cajun gals. I like them Cajun pals. And on Saturday night when the lights are bright, I can give that Cajun love call. Hey! I like the shrimp gumbo. I play the fado-do. And every now and then I can do a little zydeco. I like to hunt and fish. I cook a Cajun dish. And then in the evening I go paddling in my pirogue. 'Cause I'm a Cajun man. I come from South Louisiana. I like to drink my Dixie beer straight from the can. I like the Cajun gal. I got some Cajun pals. On Saturday night when the lights are bright, I can give that Cajun love call. On Saturday night when the lights are bright, I can give that Cajun love call. Hey!
Wait, stand by, hold on. Recorder, come on, hang on.
Anything over 5 inches is legal size. Anything under 5 inches, we throw back. We let it grow till it gets to the size we are able to keep. Real sweet flavor, and I think that's why the Cajuns like it so much. And normally when we get in, we'll put the sacks on top of them and we put a little ice on them to help with the heat and everything.
Lee and Pappy were friends of Black Guidry's, and they happened to have been at the site where Black's boat was, and they were unloading crabs. I was introduced to them. This is typical of what happens to me when I go out on my own. I meet one person, and then by accident I'll meet somebody else, and then they'll take me on a completely different adventure that I didn't expect. This is the essence of doing what I do, because it has nothing to do with large groups of people or institutions. It has to do with individuals, and individuals are as varied as the stars in the sky.
And this is how we catch our catfish.
Making that noise, isn't it?
Yeah. We just like to clean them up and eat them. We tend to fry them more than anything, but people like to make sauce pecans and coubillons and all that kind of stuff. These are called oyster mushrooms. They grow on willow trees. And out in the wild like this, if you know what a willow tree is, you're able to pick them. And I guess because aspirin comes from a willow tree, that's why they're edible. I didn't think we'd find any. I'm tickled pink. Usually you only get them in the fall and early spring when the temperatures are around 60 degrees and it's a real misty morning. Usually that's the only time you find them, but I guess because the humidity has been so high lately, they tend to come out a little bit now too, and it has been a cool morning today.
I can remember in my lifetime, we used to come out here with little sneakers like I got on, little ankle-high shoes, and you couldn't find water. It was all prairie, it was all pretty land. We would go all the way to the Gulf to find water, to hunt ducks. And now, you can't find a hill around here for medicine. It's all water.
And why is that? What happened?
From taking of the all out of the land is sinking, and the controlling of the flood, there's no flood to replenish the land back, so it all just smashes amongst itself and it's slowly sinking out of sight. In another 10, 15 years, this might be the Gulf of Mexico right here.
Rain comes down, you get fresh air and nice clean feeling.
Yeah.
Better than that sarcophagus of cement I live in Los Angeles. We have rain, but it stinks. I already smell fresher than I did 5 minutes ago. It's great.
Yeah, it is.
Is that a whole bottle?
Yeah.
Whole bottle?
Whole bottle of Louisiana hot sauce.
So what do we got in there so far? We got
lemons,
potatoes, lemons,
garlic and onions, liquid crab boil, salt, Louisiana hot sauce, and these are some mushrooms, and this here is some powdered crab boil. And once they come to a boil, we let it boil 3 to 5 minutes to make the potatoes tender. Once they're done, we'll add the crabs and let them soak up all this wonderful seasoning we've added to the pot. And here they go. Careful, water's hot.
What inspired me to start videotaping was realizing that my own grandmother, when I was, I think about 15, was trying to teach me a way to make crepes. But the problem was, even the measurements, the exact measurements that she gave me, didn't make the dish taste like she made it. When I returned just before her death, when she died at 96 years old, I videotaped the same recipe and found that while engaged in conversation, she was constantly checking the dish and flicking little bits of salt or a little bit of sugar, constantly adjusting the dish. In a cookbook, you can't see those things. When I returned home, I reproduced the dish, the crepe, and it came out exactly. So that convinced me. A picture obviously speaks 1,000 words. The traditional Cajun crab boil. Wish you could be here, but you can't. Boy, are you losing something. I don't know how they peel these things, but I'm going to try to learn because everybody here is starving because I've been taking too long and holding everybody up.
Okay, I'm going to peel this crab to show you guys how it's done by taking the shell off the back. And then I break all the mouthpiece and stuff off because that's not edible anyway. Scrape all the little innards out of it. And you take the knuckles off. And then you cut the legs off of it.
It was typical of many dinners that I've been to. You see the warm family unit, the ability for the people to share their culture. It seems that you can talk to people about many different subjects, and most times they're fairly guarded about things. But when you sit down at the table with them, even guarded people, secretive people, will just open up like a treasure chest when it comes down to how they prepare food.
Kaya. Kaya.
I've been doing this now, it's going on 4 years. My first expedition was to Mexico. Later on I went to Greece, to Athens and to northern Macedonia and then across to Yugoslavia. Came back for about a month and then went straight off to the Amazon.
Okay, comino.
Comino.
This is Peruvian, actually, cumin from the Amazon that I brought back. Very cool. Okay, Hinomoto super ciberito. This is from Peru too. It's like 10 different spices. Amazing, amazing stuff. Okay, that's it. Now we put this in the meat. I'll let the wife do it because she knows more than I, because it's her recipe from Peru, so. I pretend to be a chef, but this is the real chef here. Well, my wife, Mati, we met during my expedition, my first expedition to the Amazon. Her father was a chef, and I interviewed him, and I filmed him for my show, and he's one of my favorite guests. Listo?
We have a child. We have a child, Michael, who's about 18 months old now.
Syria, Louisiana, Peru, China. And I don't know where the French fries came from.
Peru.
Yeah, well, no. Potatoes were originally from Peru, but somebody made up the French fries, so I don't know who did that. This is a multicultural dish. Very cool. That's what it's all about.
For the first time, I'm going to be able to interview a Native American Indian, which has been very difficult for me in the past. They suffer from what I call historical damage. So subsequently, they're not very open to white people filming them. But this group, the Home Indians, there's 11,000 of them, and for the first time, I'm going to interview I'm going to have a one-on-one with some real Native Americans, and that's, to me, the most exciting part of the trip.
We're going to have turtle meat sauce piquant, and we're going to have big nose with lemon butter sauce, and we're going to have fried squid.
Annie's restaurant is a typical restaurant that's been passed down through the family. Annie was the name of the original owner, and she was Native American, part of the Huma tribe. She passed that restaurant down to her daughter, Lois. So you feel as a chef, this receiving of this knowledge from your mother is a vital part of your heritage.
It is. It's very important, and I'm trying to teach my children some of these recipes.
So it's been about 20 minutes the turtle has cooked.
Yes.
And now you're caramelizing the onions to a point, right?
Mm-hmm. We always say brown.
Brown, okay. It's a Cajun thing.
It's a Cajun thing, yeah.
The main ingredient that is different between the Indians and the Cajuns is how they get their spice, their heat. The Indians use their own chilies, which are small yellow chilies that are grown in the region. They get their heat from that, not from any processed hot sauces.
Okay, these are our snails. We already have our butter melted, and we're going to add our snails to it. Now, if we were to add a half a cup of wine, that would be like the new version. But we'll just add a little bit lemon juice. That's the way we normally do it, the old way.
And how old would that be? Would we go back 100 years or more?
Oh, I'm like 58 years old.
So your mother ate it?
And my mother.
So we're talking at least 100 years.
Yeah.
I want to thank Lois very much for allowing us to enter her home. So right now she's going to serve the food, and we're going to eat. And we're going to move on to some other wonderful parts of Louisiana. What I learned at Annie's restaurant was the difference in the way that the Native Americans prepare dishes as opposed to the way the Cajuns. And I suppose they prefer it that way, and so did the Cajuns. So they retain the separateness of the way they prepare their dishes. Which makes it all worthwhile. Incredible. The Ile de Jean Charles, which is John Charles Island, is very interesting in that there's only one road that leads in and one road that leads out. The island is 100% Humas, and they retain that island as their sacred place. Most of the tribal members can remember having to paddle a canoe from the island to the mainland to get supplies and things like that. It's a very quaint island. It's a very nice island. People there live simply. Some of the canals have pollution, and because of the changing of the erosion and the seawater coming in, most of the Gulf of Mexico coming in, there's less fresh water on the island. These are things that are constantly changing and the evolution of their future there. I do my best to not take a political stance, but sometimes you stand
like I was standing on a bridge with Lawrence as he cast the net out and was bringing up fish that were 2.5 inches, and he's talked about the pollution and the changing way of life, and they can't use gill nets anymore. His burden from his shoulder transferred onto my shoulders, and the burden of time and the American way of life, how we push ourselves on the natives, it saddened me greatly, and it was a very tough thing to see.
I want to let you know that the Huma tribe is one of maybe 100 Native American groups here in the United States that have not been recognized by the United States government. I don't understand that. I don't understand politics, but through this show, let us appreciate their culture, learn their way of life and their cooking. Maybe someday in the future, the American government will recognize these people as being here before us, and then we will better appreciate our Native American culture.
Lorianne and Janie are cooking several dishes, the most interesting of which is going to be oyster gumbo, which is a dish that obviously was passed down from their grandmothers.
I have alligator right here.
And where did this alligator come from? Not far from here, huh?
No, in the bayou right there.
Some people call the oysters the Cajun Viagra.
Everybody's down here like that. I learned from my elders.
Do you think this gumbo is something that might have been put together by your great-great-grandmother?
Yes, my great-grandmother lived to be 107, like in a month of being 108, and she made a beautiful oyster gumbo. And like we say, the gumbo to us is like chicken noodle soup to the white people.
Now I'm taking the alligator out.
Ready to go, huh?
Ready to go. Serve over rice or beans or, in this case, gumbo and sauce piquant.
You got the
I don't need it.
inside of it?
No, I'm gonna make some bread with this, so I don't need
okay.
it. That's Ted too, hard-headed.
I never knew it. She used to call me that. You can go to bed, be quiet. Because of our modern world, our car payments, our television, our distractions, it's not easy for even the Native Americans to remember the past. It's an incredible task for me to try to document these things, but it gives me more fire to try to do it, because every single day an elder dies, and with that elder dies the stories of the way the region was. And it's a classic example of American and many other cultures around the world, is people don't realize what they have until it's gone. But time passes so quickly, we're so busy with all of our silly little things that we forget to record our elders and remember the way it was.
They ain't growing another table.